There is no racism against white people. Everybody can be discriminated against, but not everybody can experience racism.
But there's a lot of people saying that there is discrimination now against Germans, that they say that words like Alman, Kartoffel, and what else did they say? Weissbrot, I don't know what else. That those are slurs that are racist against German. What's your opinion on that?
It's definitely a thing, and it happens, and we have to talk about it as well. That, for example, in school, kids are being bullied because they are German or because they are Christian, and that they are because they don't, I don't know. And, you know, and this is happening, and people are being bullied for that and discriminated, and they're being discriminated against that. And this is horrible, and this shouldn't happen. Like, nobody, no matter what skin color, no matter what religion or gender or origins, should be discriminated for that, for something that they didn't choose. The difference is just that it's not racism. There is no racism against white people. The thing is that when we talk racism, there's certain factors we need to keep in mind. So, like I said, majority and power. Who are the people here that are in power, and what do they look like? The teachers are white. The people at the Amt are white. The politicians are white. Most of the police officers are white. So these people, they also, I'm not saying everybody, but there's a lot of racism, and many people make decisions and decide over your life, your fate, based on your skin color, your religion, your heritage, your origins. For example, it is a fact, and there's statistics about that, and there were studies that people that have a different background or different religion in school don't get that recommendation for the gymnasium that easily, or that they are called aggressive just because there's an outburst, but a white child wouldn't be called aggressive. You know, things like that. So these people decide whether you get the money. These people decide whether they arrest you. These people are maybe judges, and they decide for how long you go to prison. So it's people in power that decide over your life, that make the decisions that can really influence the rest of your life. And so this is one part of racism. And then when we look at the history, are there racist theories about white people, why they are below black people or brown people or whatever? Are there theories about them that they are less intelligent? Were they enslaved for 500 years? You know, it's where they called Kartoffel and for 500 years, and people said them, you don't have a name anymore, now your name is Kartoffel. So it's things like that we also need to look at still, to, you know, these, even though this was in the past, it still has influence until today. For example, we travel around, and it's also a case in Mexico that what's beauty? You're beautiful when you're white, when you're blonde, when you have straight hair. And this is everything, like all stuff like that influences us today, also in Germany. So, you know, we also know, it's always this word systemic, but for me, racism, when you say racism, that always includes systemic as well. So everybody can be discriminated against, but not everybody can experience racism. And yes, we also have to talk about discrimination against Germans that are being called Alman, Kartoffel, and Weissbrot. And this is horrible and it shouldn't happen, and we need to talk about it, but you cannot compare Alman to the N-word or
the K-word.
Or the K-word or whatever.
Yeah, feel more like the Alman thing is more like a reaction to the K-word.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
Those who don't know what the K-word is, you have to Google it.
Please don't Google it.
What you mentioned feels a bit like this Black Lives Matter. And then they say, the white people says, yeah, all lives matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you are not getting the points there.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, all lives matter, but all lives matter don't matter until Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter, whatever. I don't like this black, brown, usually this, but it describes it, you know.
For me, it was more like a Black Lives Matter too.
Exactly, yeah.
Because, okay, all lives matter, yeah, that's what everyone thinks, but it's like the Declaration of Human Rights. All men are equal. Yeah, all white men, because women still had less rights, and black people were still slave.
Yeah.
They were still slaves when the human rights thing was written. So what about that? So it's the same thing. All lives matter. Yeah, but you're just taking a segment of lives, and then you're still excluding black lives or brown lives, which is something that I think never was understood correctly for many Americans. I don't know how was the reaction here in Germany, to be honest, but in United States it was like a lot of videos about all lives matter or Black Lives Matter. Of course, all life matter. Yeah. I mean, also about the calling Alman, and it feels more like a reaction to that. Because what if you're being called like something like that, the K word or the N word? Yeah. Of course, you want to hit back. And what can you say to them? What? And then they come up with this word about stereotypical angry German old guy, and they call him the Alman. Yeah. But I think it's just a reaction to that. In which,
it's not, in the end, it's not, you're not saying the same. So if you translate Alman, you're calling someone German. So Alman means Deutsch. So, and you're not, if you call someone Kartoffel, you're not dehumanizing them. You're not taking their, you're not saying you're not human. You're not saying you're not on my level. That's what you do with the N word and the K word. You're telling someone you are not human. You are below me. You don't have any dignity.
Yeah.
So it's never the same as if you call someone Alman or Weißbrot, it doesn't have the same weight. And it's like I said, you're always like punching up, and the other people are kicking down. So it's not.
And is that really happening in schools, or is there just one or two cases and then in the media just gets like spread?
I think it's both, but it's also really happening. Yeah. And I think that's the problem with Germany, that's not talked about. And because then people, they don't feel understood, they don't feel represented. So they turn to the Nazis that say, oh, you're German, this won't happen with you here. These people bullied you, we are against them. We're giving you this feeling of belonging. So stick with us.
Okay.
So we also have to talk about that this is happening, and it is really happening. But it's obviously not happening everywhere. And again, it is this problem of representation. It's happening in some schools, in some areas, but then it gets blown up, and they're like, oh no, it's happening everywhere.
I mean, it's all in the news that in German schools, kids are not speaking German anymore. And it's like, must be some schools in some areas, because it's like, I cannot even go and buy anything on the store without having to speak German. So what are you talking about that German is being lost? It's like everywhere I go, they speak German. Yeah. Some places, some Italian restaurants, they will speak in Italian just to make it sound more exotic. Maybe
and then they are not Italian. Actually,
and they're not Italian. They just say 2-3 words in Italian just to make it look more authentic.
Ciao.
Yeah.